So we're in the question and answer session here. I'm seeing some questions in there. If you want to raise your hand and ask directly, you can do so right now. Before we get started, what she was referring to, and I alluded to it in the beginning, is we are not a transmitter. We don't have the registration with the state of Iowa to submit this file for you. However, we are going to be providing assistance to help people create the file if they're using Choice Filer. And if you don't have Choice Filer and you don't have another software solution for doing submission, we'll be including in our follow-up emails the cost for Choice Filer, which would include some assistance. And if you already are using Choice Filer, we will have an offer that Barb will actually log on to your computer and walk through this process that she just went through specifically with you and help you do the upload. So that'll be something that'll be available. And if you want that assistance, you'll be given an option in the email for contacting us to get that particular assistance. So just keep that in mind. Otherwise, there is a question from Ted 2, what if a client does have a BIN number for 1099s? I believe if you have a BIN number for making deposits with the state of Iowa, that it's good for both W-2s and 1099s. If you don't have any kind of online connection with the Department of Revenue, there'll be some information. We're also going to give you the ability to download the document that the state of Iowa has produced. That's technical specifications. But if you haven't done any filing, you're going to have to get that registered with the state of Iowa. We'll have to do a little bit more research to find out if somebody who doesn't have employees and hasn't been making payroll deposits, they may not have an account directly at this stage if you're just doing 1099s only. We can follow up with that to find the answer to that. Any other questions that we might have? Anybody raising their hand?
Roger, did you see what Ricky said?
Ricky, you need to withhold Iowa income tax on 1099s to need to e-file.
So if you haven't been withholding for 1099s, you don't need to e-file apparently. Roger, can you put me on?
I hear you, and everybody hears you.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. Yeah, we'll have to check into that. But yeah, Ricky, if that's the case,
I don't think it's just for withholding. I think it's if you normally send somebody a 1099, you still will send that to the individual. But in terms of filing with the state, I assume you still have to file with the state. But we can double check if you don't have to e-file, only if you withhold. That was not my understanding, but maybe we can research that and we can do some follow-up announcements on any information that we gather to everybody who attended the webinar today. Any other questions that kind of scrolling through the chat session here? I'm not seeing any raised hands. But as indicated after the webinar, there'll be an email so that if you want some personal assistance or you have some questions you'd rather have answered privately, there'll be an opportunity to do that. So I'm not seeing, Lori, I know you were monitoring the chat a little bit. Was there some questions that people had that I missed here looking through the chat? I'm not seeing anything, which I said if you have one or more with withholding, e-file is mandatory. So I guess the question is, if you withhold on a 1099, you have to e-file, but maybe you don't have to e-file if you've not withheld, if you're just sending the 1099 in. That I don't know the answer to. I'm not an accountant or a tax authority. We're focused on the process of creating and uploading a file. So we'll do a little bit more research on that, and we'll get an answer out to everybody who attended this session. Otherwise, I think we've answered everything that we've done. Since there aren't many questions, Barb must have done a very good job explaining how everything is done. I know the documents that she referenced will be good backup. And this recording was recorded with all those glitches and everything. But we will make the recording available so that if you want to go back and watch the process that Barb went through, you'll have that opportunity as well. So you're in a position that you can do it yourself, hopefully, with the Choice Filer. But as I indicated earlier, we'll be available to assist you should you need that assistance, and we'll be providing information on how to gain that assistance. So if there's no further questions, I think we'll go ahead and close, and you can be watching your email for the follow-up documentation and information that we promised you. Thank you very much, everybody. And again—
Oh, but Roger, there was a question. Is there a webinar, how to use Choice Filer? We haven't created one yet.
Well, one of the things we were going to do in the email is just make available the Choice Filer to people who don't already have it. And if there's a great deal of demand for that, we were planning on scheduling just a Choice Filer webinar, and it would go more into depth as far as actually printing the W-2s or printing the 1099s, as well as creating the e-file. So again, kind of watch your email. If we were going to pull that together, we had tentatively thought we might do that January 10th, but it hasn't been definitively scheduled. But if we're going to do that, we'll get that out to you shortly. Like I said, many of you have used the Choice Filer for a number of years, so we weren't quite sure, other than the special requirement that with that BIN number that was really in the submitter setup. Those are the new pieces that maybe you have not done in the Choice Filer in the past. So we'll do some evaluation, and we'll send information out. And if you need some particular training, if we don't do one, we'll make that available as well. So we'll follow up with you, and we'll make sure that if you do have to buy Choice Filer, that you know how to use it.
Roger, two other things came in. When will the 2019 tax update be available? It's already available. If you haven't received it yet, if you've ordered and paid for it and you haven't received it, let us know. I'll let Roger tell you how to get a hold of him for that. Also, if you wanted it by email, that should have gone out to you already as well, too. So be sure and check with us. The other question—
yeah, that's specific. For those of you who don't use People's Choice Accounting, that question specific to the People's Choice Accounting users that are on the webinar. The Choice Filer is included as a part of the annual tax update for People's Choice. So that may not apply to some of you. As far as the other question, the TCC and the PIN number on the submitter setup, that is only required for people who are going to e-file with the IRS or the Social Security Administration. If you're going to file a 1099 with the IRS, you need to apply for a TCC number and a PIN. And the same thing is if you're going to e-file to the Social Security Administration, you'll need to get a PIN and your own login. There's a similar login process that, like Barb went through to log into the state of Iowa. There's a similar login process where you log into the Social Security Administration. This webinar wasn't focused on that particular process. That e-filing isn't mandatory for most small businesses. I believe it's still, I mean, you can do it, but mandatory, I think you have to have over 250 employees before you're required to e-file with the Social Security Administration. So most of our Choice Filer users haven't used that feature. It's been in there for a few years. It was this year we did some special programming for what I call the Iowa edition of the Choice Filer that made sure the e-file complied with the state of Iowa, which is, there were some different requirements than what the federal government requires. So don't worry about that if you're just going to be e-filing with the state of Iowa. There's the file name as far as the Social Security Administration and the IRS. They don't care what you name the file. Their process is a little bit different. So that's hopefully kind of clarifies about that. And
as far as a special BEN number to do mass filings, that's an application that you would submit with the state of Iowa. I can do some, I'll look online and see if I can help you find that location and include that information. But that's an application that you have to do in order to submit for multiple people, like bulk filing, that kind of thing. So otherwise, most BEN numbers are for single company filings, but there is a way to do it for mass filings. One quick note that Roger hasn't mentioned yet, and he maybe will, and I'll just mention it quickly, but we're planning to do more Business Builder. We've got some exciting things coming up, and so we'll be doing some Business Builder webinars, whether you're a one-person office or if you have multiple employees. We've got some fun things coming up that we're excited about, and we're anxious to share them with everyone. So we want to help make all small businesses successful, and so we've got some great strategies for that. So today, I hope we were able to help you not worry so much about the about this particular process that Iowa has given to us this year, and moving forward, it'll be a much smoother January. So with that, yeah, Raj, I'll let you finish up.
Yep, I'm anticipating there's going to be quite a bit of confusion, and again, that's why we put on this webinar, because most people have never done it, and Iowa is the only state that I'm aware of right now that's requiring everybody to do it. Most states are moving in that direction, but there's at least starting out with just businesses that have 10 or more employees or 10 or more 1099s. And so that's why we thought it was important, since there were so many people affected by this, that it was going to be information that was going to be needed to help avoid panic coming towards the end of the month when this has to be filed. So otherwise, doesn't look like we have any more questions. So we're going to go ahead and close the session and just watch your email for answers to the questions we couldn't answer and some extra documentation to assist you in this process. So thank you again, everybody, and we'll be in touch.